Before we begin, make sure you're somewhere quiet. Turn off the lights. Put on your headphones. Because the stories you're about to hear aren't just scary. These are the kinds of experiences people don't talk about. If you enjoy true horror stories, unsettling encounters, and disturbing events that happen to real people, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Now, let's begin. I never believed the phrase "you don't really know someone" until the night I realized I had been living next to a stranger for almost 2 years. And by the time I understood what that meant, it was already too late to leave. I lived in a small apartment complex on the edge of town. Nothing fancy, 2 floors, thin walls, shared laundry room that always smelled faintly of bleach and mold. The kind of place where people kept to themselves and nodded politely but never talked long enough to learn names. That suited me fine. I worked nights at a warehouse, slept during the day, and spent most of my free time alone. The quiet felt earned. Safe. The guy in the apartment next to mine moved in late summer. I noticed because of the noise, not loud, just constant. Footsteps at odd hours. Furniture scraping the floor long after midnight. The soft thud of doors opening and closing again and again. I assumed he worked nights too. I first saw him in the hallway one morning while I was heading to my car. He was locking his door, back turned to me. Tall. Thin. Wearing a grey hoodie even though it was hot. When he turned, he smiled like he'd been practicing it. "Hey," he said. "You're next door, right?" I nodded. "I'm Daniel." I told him my name. He shook my hand. His grip was cold. Not clammy, cold, like he'd just come inside from winter. After that, we'd see each other occasionally. Small talk. Weather. Work. He never invited me over. I never invited him. It felt normal. Looking back, what bothers me most is how carefully normal he was. Things started changing in October. At first, it was small. I'd come home and notice my door wasn't locked the way I remembered. Once or twice, a light would be on that I was sure I'd turned off. I blamed exhaustion. Night shifts mess with your head. Then I started finding things moved. A chair angled slightly differently. A book not where I left it. My shower curtain pulled closed when I always left it open. The first time I felt genuinely scared was when I found muddy footprints in my kitchen. They weren't heavy. Not like someone had walked straight through. Just partial prints. Toes. Heels. As if someone had stepped inside, paused, then left. I checked the door. Locked. Windows closed. That night, I didn't sleep. Around 3 a.m., I heard something through the wall. Breathing. Not loud. Not rhythmic. Just there. Like someone standing still, breathing slowly, deliberately, inches from the other side. I pressed my ear to the wall. The breathing stopped. Then came a soft knock. 3 taps. On my wall. I stepped back so fast I nearly fell. The next morning, Daniel was waiting by my door when I left for work. "Hey," he said casually. "You hear weird noises last night?" My stomach dropped. I asked what he meant. He smiled. "Probably the pipes." I didn't answer. Over the next few weeks, the feeling of being watched became constant. Not paranoia, certainty. I'd wake up suddenly, heart racing, convinced someone was standing over me. My phone battery drained overnight even when untouched. My laptop webcam light flickered once while the screen was closed. I started locking my bedroom door. One night, I woke to the sound of keys jingling. Inside my apartment. I grabbed my phone and hid in the bathroom, locking the door and holding my breath. The sound moved slowly through the living room. Drawers opening. Cabinets closing. Careful. Unhurried, Then a voice. Daniel's voice. "Too soon," he murmured. "You're awake." I covered my mouth to keep from screaming. The footsteps approached the bathroom door. Stopped. I could see the shadow under the door. He stood there for a long time. Then he left. In the morning, my front door was locked. No signs of forced entry. Nothing missing. I called the police. They searched the apartment. Asked questions. Took notes. One officer exchanged a look with the other when I mentioned my neighbor. "Daniel, you said," he asked. I nodded. They went next door. The apartment was empty. No furniture. No clothes. No food. No signs anyone had ever lived there. The lease office said the unit had been vacant for months. I showed them texts on my phone. Conversations. Missed calls from Daniel's number. The officer frowned. "That number doesn't exist," he said. I moved out a week later. New place. New locks. Cameras. A fresh start. For a while, things felt normal again. Until I found a notebook in my moving boxes. It wasn't mine. Inside were pages and pages of notes. Dates. Times. Detailed descriptions of my routines. What I ate. When I slept. When I left. When I came back. The last entry was dated the night before I moved. He noticed me. On the final page was a message written carefully, like it mattered. "We'll try again somewhere quieter." Last night, I heard breathing outside my bedroom wall. I don't have a neighbor on that side. I used to work the overnight shift at a 24-hour convenience store just off the highway. If you've ever worked nights like that, you know how strange time becomes. Hours blur together. The same faces show up again and again. You start recognizing cars before people. And you learn very quickly which customers feel wrong. This story is about one of them. The store sat between nothing and nowhere. One side faced the highway. The other faced a stretch of trees that went deeper than they looked. During the day, it was boring. At night, it felt isolated in a way that made the building seem smaller than it actually was. I worked alone from midnight to 8 a.m. He started coming in around late November. Always between 2:30 and 3 a.m. Never earlier. Never later. The first thing I noticed was how quiet he moved. The bell above the door would ring, but sometimes I wouldn't hear his footsteps until he was already at the counter. He was average looking. Mid-30s. Clean clothes. Calm voice. Nothing threatening about him. If anything, he seemed polite in a way most night customers weren't. He always bought the same things. A bottle of water. A protein bar. And a pack of mints. Every single time. At first, we made small talk. The usual stuff. Weather. Traffic. He said he drove a lot for work. Long distances. Nights. "I like this store," he told me once. Quiet. Predictable. I laughed and said that was one way to describe it. That night, he asked me something that felt slightly off. "Do you ever get scared working here alone?" I shrugged. "Not really." He nodded, like he was filing the answer away. After a few weeks, I realized something strange. I never saw his car. I'd watch the parking lot through the front windows during slow hours. Every customer's car headlights flashed by. Every engine noise registered. But with him, it was like he just appeared. One night, curiosity got the better of me. I asked where he parked. He smiled. "I walk." "From where?" I almost asked. I didn't. December came. The nights got colder. Snow dusted the trees behind the store, making them look skeletal under the security lights. That's when the girl showed up. She came in just after midnight. Young. Early 20s maybe. Hoodie pulled tight around her face. She looked exhausted, not drunk. Scared in a quiet way. She bought a phone charger and a coffee. Her hands were shaking. "Can I stay here for a bit?" she asked. I told her that was fine. People did it all the time. She sat near the window, staring out at the parking lot like she expected someone to pull in. Around 2:40 a.m., the bell rang. He walked in. The moment he saw her, something changed. It was subtle. His posture shifted. His eyes lingered on her half a second too long before he looked away. I felt it then, that wrongness I'd ignored for weeks. He walked the aisle slowly, pretending to browse, but his reflection in the freezer doors kept tracking her. At the counter, he placed his items down carefully. "She waiting for someone?" he asked casually. I shouldn't have answered. She said she needed to charge her phone, I said. "Probably getting picked up." He nodded. "Paid." Then, just before leaving, he hesitated. "If she needs help," he said quietly, "I live close by. Safer than being out here all night." I didn't respond. He left. 5 minutes later, the girl came to the counter. "Is he gone?" she asked. I said yes. She hesitated, then asked, "He comes here a lot, right?" I nodded. She bit her lip. "He followed me from the highway." My stomach dropped. She said she'd been walking because her ride bailed. She noticed a man behind her for almost a mile. When she crossed the road, he crossed. When she stopped, he stopped. This place was the only light, she said. I told her she could stay until morning. That I'd call the police if she wanted. She shook her head. "I just want to get home." She called someone. The call went to voicemail. Around 3:05 a.m., the bell rang again. He was back. "I forgot my mints," he said. I didn't see him grab them. The girl froze. He noticed. Smiled. "You okay?" he asked her. She didn't answer. "I can walk you," he offered. "It's cold." I stepped in and said she was waiting for a ride. He looked at me for a long moment. Then nodded. "Of course," he said. He left. At 3:30 a.m., the girl said she was going to try walking again. I begged her to wait. She insisted. Said daylight was hours away and she couldn't stay forever. I walked her to the door. The parking lot was empty. She stepped outside. 10 seconds later, the security lights flickered. Then went out. They came back on after a few seconds. She was gone. No footsteps. No scream. Nothing. Police searched the area. Dogs. Flashlights. The woods behind the store. They found her phone. Cracked. Wet. 3 days later, they questioned me again. Asked about regular customers. I told them about him. They showed me a photo lineup. My blood ran cold. I recognized him immediately. He'd been dead for 7 years. Hit and run. Highway nearby. Body never fully recovered. That night, working alone again, the bell rang at 2:42 a.m. He stood at the counter. Same calm smile. Same items. "You did good," he said. "Most people don't help." I quit the next day. But sometimes, late at night, my phone buzzes. Unknown number. No message. Just my location. I was chosen because I was polite. That's the only explanation I've ever been able to come up with. I worked as a night receptionist at a small roadside hotel, 20 rooms, 2 floors, and a parking lot that felt too big for how often it was empty. The kind of place truckers stopped at or families passed through once and never remembered again. I liked the job because it was predictable. Check-ins. Coffee. Quiet hours. The occasional drunk guest needing towels at 1 a.m. Nothing dangerous. Nothing memorable. Until room 12. The man checked in just after midnight on a Tuesday. He was alone. Late 40s, maybe early 50s. Clean cut. Calm. He wore a dark jacket and carried no visible luggage, which was unusual but not unheard of. Some guests traveled light. Just one night, he said. I won't be any trouble. He smiled when he said it. I gave him the key. Room 12 was on the ground floor, near the back of the building. Let me know if you need anything, I told him. I will, he replied. The first thing that bothered me was how long he stood there after taking the key. Not staring. Not looming. Just waiting. Finally, he turned and walked out into the parking lot. I watched him on the security monitor as he entered his room. He didn't turn on the lights. At 1:17 a.m., the phone rang. Front desk line. Hello? I answered. It's cold in here, the man from room 12 said. Can you turn the heat up? I adjusted the thermostat remotely. Told him it should warm up soon. Thank you, he said. You're very kind. He hung up. At 2:03 a.m., he called again. The TV isn't working, he said. I checked the system. It was working. I offered to come take a look. That would be great, he replied. I grabbed the master key and walked outside. The night was quiet. Too quiet. No cars. No wind. Just the buzzing of the parking lot lights. Room 12's door was slightly open. I knocked. No answer. I knocked again. Front desk, I said. Still nothing. I pushed the door open. The room was dark, but I could see enough. The bed was neatly made. The bathroom light was off. No suitcase. No clothes. Nothing out of place. Empty. Hello? I called. No response. I stepped inside and checked the TV. It worked perfectly. I turned to leave and noticed something on the mirror above the dresser. A note. Written in the steam, like someone had breathed onto the glass earlier. Thank you for coming. My chest tightened. I wiped it away and left quickly, locking the door behind me. At the desk, I checked the system. Room 12 still showed as occupied. At 2:47 a.m., the phone rang again. Same line. You forgot to fix it, the man said calmly. I was just there, I replied, trying to keep my voice steady. The room was empty. There was a pause. Then he laughed. Softly. I wasn't talking about the TV. The line went dead. At 3:30 a.m., a car pulled into the parking lot. Headlights off. It parked directly in front of room 12. No one got out. I watched the security monitor as the driver's door slowly opened. Then closed. The car stayed there. At 4:12 a.m., the phone rang again. This part always takes the longest, the man said. You're doing great. I told him I was calling the police. I wouldn't, he replied. They won't make it in time. I hung up and dialed anyway. Busy signal. Every line. At 4:26 a.m., the power went out. The security monitors went black. Emergency lights flickered on in the lobby. That's when I heard footsteps. Coming from outside. Slow. Measured. Stopping just on the other side of the front desk wall. I didn't move. Didn't breathe. A knock came from the back office door. 3 gentle taps. You can stop pretending now, the man said from the other side. You already did your part. The door handle turned. I ran. Out the front entrance, into the parking lot, toward my car. Room 12's door was open. Inside, the light was on now. The room was different. The bed was gone. The walls were covered in writing. Names. Dates. Room numbers. Hotels. Motels. Cities. At the center of the wall, written larger than the rest, was my name. And beneath it, check-in complete. Something moved behind me. I didn't turn around. I got into my car and drove until sunrise. I quit that morning. Never went back. Months later, I saw it on the news. A hotel clerk found dead in a back office 2 states away. No forced entry. No suspects. Security cameras disabled. The reporter mentioned the room number. It was room 12. Last night, my phone rang at 1:17 a.m. Unknown number. I didn't answer. A voicemail appeared anyway. You were very polite, the man said. That's why you'll be perfect next time.